Do you enjoy eating a high quality natural yogurt but are finding it increasingly hard to locate it in your local supermarket? Come along with me and I'll show you how to make it quick and easy while saving you some money. Let's go. Hey guys, Musa here from Quantum Home Improvements and Solutions. Welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to show you how to make 3 different dishes, but they all come from the one, which is natural yogurt. And natural yogurt is very popular in the Middle East and used with many other different foods. And it generally is made from cow or goat's milk, but it needs to be full cream milk. For me personally, I enjoy eating natural yogurt with rice, which is very traditional and very basic, but I do enjoy it. So I'm also going to show you from the natural yogurt how to make Labneh. And so Labneh is basically the whey strained from the yogurt and it becomes creamy, and you add oil and spices. But we also use yogurt to make a cheese, and the cheese is called Shanklish. So now I'll get into it and I'll show you how easy it is to make these dishes. First thing you need to do is just pour some milk into a pot. Now the container I have here that I'm going to be making the yogurt in is 5 litres. So I have a 3 litre and a 2 litre. And so the milk I'm going to use is from Dairy Farmers. Now Dairy Farmers is a really good brand milk and they have a really good reputation. They were started back in January 1900 by 65 stakeholders, which were mainly dairy farmers, and they're now owned by Bega Cheese. So I'll just pour the milk straight into the pot. So then we put this pot on a boil, but before we do that, we get the culture that we're going to use, which is the last batch of your last yogurt, or if you buy some natural yogurt, and then just start the process. Now, so this yogurt I've had for 3 years, and God rest his soul, my father gave it to me and it was quite a good batch, and I've kept it perpetually going since then till now. So yogurt will last roughly up to about, say, 2 weeks. I have left it to around 3 weeks and still works, but I wouldn't suggest that. They do say that 2 weeks is probably the max. And so while the milk is boiling, you allow this to come back to room temperature. So I've taken it out of the fridge, I've given it a bit of a stir, and this is roughly about 3 large cooking spoons of yogurt. And so the yogurt itself has the bacteria in it, and it's a positive bacteria. So everything else I will sanitize so I don't introduce any negative bacteria. Okay, so I'll get that to a boil. Okay, I'll just turn the stove on. So now because I've got the temperature on high, there's a really good chance the base will burn. So what you've got to do as it warms up, you use a potato masher and just move that around and just stop the base from forming. So you can actually cook this on a slower temperature just to avoid burning. But with me, I like to quicken the process. And you just got to be very careful just to periodically stir that around. So if you don't do this, it will burn and the taste will go through the yogurt and it won't taste that great. So it's starting to froth up around the edges and I can hear it starting to boil. So I will put a thermometer in just to see what temperature I'm at. And so it's climbing pretty quickly and it's just going past 60 degrees Celsius now. One thing you've got to be careful, when it does reach the boiling point, it will flow over really quickly. So you've got to try to avoid that from happening. It will make a big mess everywhere. So doing this as well will allow the heat to transfer from the plate into the milk quicker. So it does boil faster when you do this. Okay, so just stirring that now, just brought it up to close to 90 degrees. So it's getting there and it won't be long now and you'll see it just start to boil over pretty quickly. And there we go. I'll take it off quickly. Just in time. So we'll let that cool down, and when it gets to 45 degrees, then we'll put the culture in and put it in the container. So you can let this cool down naturally, but if you want to speed it up, you can get a big bowl and put ice in there and just put this pot gently in there and let it settle and it will cool it down faster. Okay, so I will keep stirring it while it's cooling down. Milk is a really good insulator and it takes a long time to cool down if you don't. So it just allows all the heat to escape. Also, you need to stop skin from forming on top. So the temperature now is sitting at 58 degrees Celsius, so it's not too far off. We are aiming for 45 degrees. So while that's cooling down, I'll set up the blanket and also the container. So the container needs to be washed out in hot water, no soap, just hot water with a sponge, and then when you're finished, you spray it down with phosphoric acid, and this phosphoric acid is a food grade. So all you do is just tip it back out and you can use it straight after. You don't re-wash it down, and then you just put your milk in that. Okay, so the temperature's spot on now, and it's at 45 degrees. So what I'm gonna do is place a little bit of that milk into the culture. So I'll just stir that around, and then I'll just place it into the milk. Now I'll place this milk into the container and wrap it with the blanket carefully. So this part of the process is now complete. I'll let this sit for 12 hours and then I'll place the container in the fridge. All right, so it's been just over 12 hours. I'll just take the blanket off. Okay, I might just have a quick peek and see how it looks like. Look at that, very nice. Okay, so you can see it's gone all hard. But it'll get even harder when I place it in the fridge, so I'll do that now. Okay, so the yogurt has been in the fridge for around about 4 hours, and this is the moment of truth to see how well this turned out. And look at that, that looks beautiful. And let's look at the texture. Look at that, beautiful, very nice. I'll just give it a taste. Wow, that's very nice. I could have kept that in the fridge a little bit longer and actually would have been a little bit firmer. So I'll put that back in the fridge in a minute. But first, I'm going to go the next stage and make the Shanklish. So what I'm going to do is just put half of this yogurt into this pot. And so you mix it 50-50. So half yogurt and half water. So this is only approximate, and I'd say that's around about half. And so now I'm just going to put in 2.5 litres of water and just mix that in. So stir it in really, really well. Okay, so now I'll put this on the stove and bring it to a boil. I will put the lid on once again to let that boil quicker. Okay, let's see how we're going. We'll just put a thermometer in again, just see what temperature we're sitting at. Okay, so straight away it's jumped straight up to what, about 70 degrees, if not more. So this is not like the milk. You don't need to stir it too much. So I did add a bit more water to this. My volumes weren't exact. So you can see there a bit of a creamy texture starting to come up. So what's going to happen, the water and the yogurt will separate. And so when that happens, you know that it's almost ready to take off the stove. So now we're just over 90 degrees and you can see the cracks forming in there. Hopefully you can see that on camera. And very soon it's going to go like a volcanic ooze. And when that happens, take it off the heat straight away. You know it's done then. So underneath, the heat wants to escape, but the milk is a good insulator and it's stopping it from doing that. Okay, that's it. We take it off the heat. So we'll let that cool down and then we'll separate the whey from the actual yogurt, which is in actual fact no longer a yogurt, it's more of a cheese now, and is what's called arrish, which can be used in all sorts of ways. And so then we'll place that into a fabric bag. I actually use a pillowcase which is dedicated purely for Shanklish. Okay, so it's been about an hour since I've taken off the heat and it's really cooled down now. I can feel it's quite good, it's touchable, still warm. But you can see how this is all separated and you can see that there's whey showing everywhere. So now I'm going to very gently and carefully pour this into the pillowcase. Okay, so now I'll just put the bag around the pot, just move that tap there, and then gently tip that in, very, very gently. So I'll just let that drain through for a little bit. Okay, so it's been about an hour. And you can see how it's condensed down. So now I'll just hang it outside in a sheltered area and just keep my eye on it for a couple of days and make sure that it's not going too hard. It's now the third day. I've been checking periodically. The cheese is quite soft still, but it is dry. Just a little bit of moisture in there, and that's actually perfect. All right, so now I'm going to show you how to make labneh, and it's quite easy. All you need is a bowl and a sifter. And then I just put in some serviettes, some paper towels inside the sifter, just covering up all that wired area so the yogurt won't escape. So basically it just looks like that. So while I'm waiting for the whey to drain through this yogurt, I'm just going to put them aside. And now I'm going to make the Shanklish. I have to mention that there's many different ways of making Shanklish, and the way I'm making it is called Shanklish Akhdar, which basically means green or fresh Shanklish. But the traditional way of making it is once you've put it together, you put it outside for a further 3 to 5 days. But I basically just wrap it up and put it in the fridge for a day or so and let it go dry and hard. And here we go, look at that. Very, very nice. And that's the texture we want, where it's breaking apart, but still moist enough to put back together. And that is perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for. I'll just give that a nice little break up. Make sure it's all broken up. Okay. Beautiful. That is looking really, really good. That's actually better than I expected. Okay, so now I'm going to add red hot chili pepper and some salt. Now the salt, you put as much as you think you'd like. Don't overdo the salt. You can actually increase the salt later when you put the dish together. But for now, don't overdo the salt. But with the pepper, I find that you can actually be very generous with it. And it does, the hotter it tastes, the better it is. So I'll just put roughly about a teaspoon of salt. And with the chili pepper, I'm gonna pour it on. Now, some people might not like it very hot. It's up to your tastes. So now, all I do is just mix it in. That's a lot of pepper. You may not want that much. Be very, very careful. In actual fact, I might have put too much pepper. That's funny. And look at that, the whey is draining very nicely, just dripping out from the sifter. So now we're going to put the Shanklish together. We need 3 plates. So we need one with za'atar. You need one with oil. So the oil I'm using is just basically a vegetable oil, and the brand is Pure Vita. And so the last plate is just basically where we're going to put the Shanklish. So I'm going to put a couple of serviettes on that as well. So now all we do is we make that into a ball. You try to make it as round as you can. So that's another one. I'll make one more. God rest his soul, my father used to make this all the time. I love this Shanklish. So all I do now is just roll them in the oil. I'll just keep one hand oil and the other hand in the za'atar, so I don't make a mess of this. Okay, just roll that around as much as I can. And that's pretty much on now, and I'll grab the bottom of that. So the leftover za'atar, you don't waste that. You can just put some oil in that and dip some bread in it, and it tastes beautiful. I'll just put a bit more za'atar on the first couple because the oil does bleed through. And this just helps the za'atar to stick to it. Okay, look at that. Looks like a cricket ball. And let me tell you, when you taste it, it'll hit you for a sixer. Okay, so now I'll just cling wrap this and put it in the fridge. I've had to go out and I've left the yogurt a little longer than what I would normally, but the whey has now separated and the yogurt's looking really good, nice and creamy. Okay, so what I'll do is just get a bowl and just gently tilt this over. And now just take the serviette off and it will separate quite easily. As you can see, it's separated nicely. It's now a cream cheese. So we like to put this on our manouche and it cooks beautifully. It gives it that extra taste. So you can see how much whey has been drained out of that. The Shanklish now has been in the fridge for over 24 hours and now I'm ready to put everything together. First, I'm going to show you the consistency of the yogurt. So now it's about the 4th day. So that looks fantastic. It's got a lot of body to it and it looks really good and smells beautiful, really nice. Okay, now I'll put the labneh together. Now with the labneh, you can eat it just plain if you want, or you can put it with a bit of oil, and I will be using Cobram extra virgin olive oil, and sometimes I use vegetable oil. I actually don't mind both. But you can also mix it in with a bit of za'atar or with a bit of mint and probably just a little bit of salt as well. It's up to yourself. In this case here, I'm gonna actually be making it with a bit of za'atar, so I'll just sprinkle some on top and just with a bit of salt. You don't need too much. And so then you just mix that in. Beautiful. Now, so you just put some in the plate, swirl that around like that, okay. And then you just grab a bit of oil and place that on top. Just sprinkle it on, not too much. Okay, so now I'll put the Shanklish together. So you just use one only, that'll be plenty. So what you do, you just break that up. I'll use a fork. And you can see that nice color inside, that red hot chili pepper. Just break that up. So you can see all the za'atar mixing in beautifully. That is breaking apart beautifully. This was dried just perfect. And so now you add some oil. Now you can put as much oil as you want. I am putting extra virgin olive oil in this. Beautiful. And that's done, ready to eat. Okay, so there we are. We have our yogurt, we have our labneh, and our Shanklish, and they look beautiful. I'm going to try some. Okay. Wow, very nice. It's a very plain dish. It's very nice to mix it with other foods, but it tastes nice just on its own. Now expecting this to have a big kick. Wow, that is incredible. My girls are going to enjoy eating that. Wow, that's a lot of pepper in there too. So that's it, so easy to make, and they're very healthy, let me tell you, and your family's going to love it. So I will put a link below on some of the information of products I've used if you're interested to know more. So that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. And if you have any comments, please leave them below and I will get back to you. And I'd ask you, please consider to subscribe, hit the like button and share this video, and there's many more to come. Thanks guys.